Welcome back. This is K24. This morning we're looking at the big stories of the day right here, and of course taking your views at K24 TV. Alternatively, you can SMS us on 21222. Right before the break, just talking about how to bring everything together as far as this BBI process is concerned. Of course, as you can see now, stakeholder forums not moving on. We'll be having a couple of political rallies even as we move forward. And the best question is how to make it more people-driven, because it seems like Nile Kitu Yao. You talk to the regular citizen and they're like, Nile Kitu your Prime Minister. That's what they're actually getting from this particular bill, because that's all they hear from the podium. It's either about an executive position or a referendum. That's all that's coming out from there, forgetting that there's so many other chapters that actually deal with very many other things.
Before we went on break, there's something I wanted to say about those meetings, because these are meetings that are supposed to bring Kenyans together. So these should be meetings that are looking forward. But the last two meetings, there have been this narrative of what happened in the last elections. Wakiiba tutaiba, wakijumulisha tutajumulisha. Really, that narrative should change, because it is not bringing us together. It's opening fresh wounds. It's opening the old wounds and reminding people of why we were going different direction.
Do you feel that, like Dr. is saying, should you just stop the rallies so that we don't hear such utterances?
We should change the narrative of the rallies. We should change the narrative in such a way that we are talking a language that is going to unite us, that will make us appreciate each other's gifts, you know, rather than reminding us how we fought the other day. You know, the president and the former prime minister shook hands, and when you shake hands, you forget the past. Yeah, you forget about. You don't keep on talking about things that are going to make you lose faith in each other. You know. So I think that is one thing we should avoid. Let us talk about how we are going to move our country together, how we are going to improve our farming, how we are going to improve our politics. That is the way to take our country forward.
You know, I can forgive Honorable Jude, but I can't forgive my advisor, Gabriel here. He advises me on solid issues of governance. How can you say you are comfortable with the BBI rallies? What are the BBI rallies intended to achieve? Honestly, the report that was launched in Bomas contains the views of the people. So the next step should not have been rallies. Should have been the BBI team or some other team sitting down to do a bit of sorting out, to say the following events would require that line ministries to implement, departments to implement, parliament to implement, and the balance is supposed to go to a referendum. Having done that, they then using that team of experts to draft the referendum questions. And the ones to go to parliament would be marked to parliament. Parliament has got the human resource to convert it into the required parliamentary language so that they become bills and stuff like that. But to then use public funds and go back to rallies, bills are not drafted in a Bohongo Stadium. Referendum questions are not drafted at Mamangina Drive. I mean, is it Drive or Water Point? At the Water Point. They are not. The referendum questions are drafted in a boardroom and then given to wananchi. It would have given then birth to the third line of engagement, whereby now, after the referendum questions have been drafted, the bills have been drafted, then they go to the third level, whereby they go back to wananchi now for public participation on those particular bills. But what they are doing is just confusion upon confusion. I'm therefore not surprised that when the train reached Mombasa, the BBI train reached Mombasa, the chickens started coming out to roost. Because I started them starting to play with a matter which was comprehensively handled by the Ndungu Commission on the matter of land. If you're going to handle the matter of land in this country, dear Kenyans, the way you saw it being driven in Mombasa, then you are actually inviting war, civil war in this country, because land is very emotive. It needs to be managed properly, you have seen what land issues have done to the great Republic of Rhodesia, currently Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was something. For those of us who are a bit older, we know what Zimbabwe was. But because of mishandling the issue of land, you can see what it has become. Right. You can see how the Parliament of South Africa is very, very careful on the issue of land. In fact, Cyril Ramaphosa, to become president, he had to be extremely persuasive on how he was going to handle the issue of land. Right. So I want to advise former Prime Minister, this question of playing around with the issue of land, he must know that we all Kenyans, we know who the beneficiaries of land are. And the Ndungu report is very clear. They better go the Ndungu report way, or they stop the DDI, the BBI process.
Very quickly, Gabriel, because we need to move on.
Very quickly, I think my good doctor.
Doctari.
I think my good doctari did not get it right. What I said was this. Knowledge must precede the excitement in political rallies. Okay. That's what I said. Okay. And why knowledge must precede is because the rallies have started disengaging the realities of BBI. That's why I'm saying President Uhuru was very correct to pronounce himself that we should watch out. We are not taken or driven by politicians. It is for this reason that I still maintain that the BBI committee have the final say when it comes to authoring that report. All right? They are the ones to get the views, the core views from Kenyans, and not politicians. Like my good friend Daktari has said, and this has been my concern as well, the thing about land is not something that you can discuss in political rallies. Right. It is serious. All right? When you go shouting about absentee landlords, be careful. Be careful. Because these are things that can erupt the emotions, you know, of people within various regions. So it is something that we must tread. Throughout why we've had conflict can actually be, stemmed back to the issues and matters land. So we need to be very careful when we're discussing such things. And I believe that is why the President and the former Prime Minister came up with a framework of having a committee, all right, of the experts that have formed the BBI committee. So as much as we discuss in political rallies, I have no problem, Doctari, with political rallies. You can go there and say your shenanigans, but be mindful that at the end of the day, knowledge, and Tuanjiko, knowledge must precede that excitement in political rallies. Because at the end of the day, you've seen what we've done in political rallies. And our good lady is saying, Kenyans like going to listen to politicians in political rallies. But remember your takeaway home. What happens is transformation. And much of the time, it's not what is spewed in platforms in political rallies. It is what is contained in policy framework, in great knowledge distribution, and at the end of the day, the law itself, the Constitution. It is the instrument that brings us together.
Maybe a quick addition on that?
There's something that that I think we must not miss. I think that the steering committee really on that aspect must stamp its foot. They, in launching the report in Bomas, clearly stated that a new team should now be able to move this agenda forward, that they have done their bit. But here we see them again. And that causes confusion. And I think that they have not helped the agenda at all in not clarifying how come they're still the ones steering the process ahead, yet their recommendation was that the process should be handed over to someone. That's something they need to grab by the horns. Okay. Yes.
I want us to move on to the Business Daily's front page there. You can find the story.
Can I say one word about Doctari? Doctari. The one because now on social media, people are calling me Doctari. Actually, you should forgive Gideon.
Right.
Gideon is actually a stranger in the world of medicine. So the people he was referring to as Doctari are actually dietitians. So that is his Kiswahili understanding of the word dietitians. You know, the funny thing about medicine is that when people see a laboratory attendant, a pharmacist, anybody working in hospital,
You have a
they
way
call
to
him,
put it
they call him a doctor.
Yeah.
So the doctor Gideon was talking about was actually the dietitian.
By the way, to be honest, you know, people have seen people hitting on Gideon. Let me tell you. I mean, Gideon is a fine gentleman. Right. He is a great politician. And we have to give it to him. I mean, how he's come with playing the politics and what have you. And I believe he has a very big political future going forward. But having said that, you know, Dr. Ari, whether I say Dr. Ari, that doesn't mean anything. My own grandfather could not say Hakimu. He really used to struggle with the word Hakimu. The judge, you know, he really struggled. He would say Hakimu, Jakimu, Jakimu. It was a very, you know, make him say Hakimu. It was hard for him. So there are people.
And very quickly too. Remember the first known constitutional lawyer in Kenya, Gibson Kamau Kuria. He was the only one being referred to when you're talking about the constitution in the Moi era, and he could not say constitution.
You've had people who cannot pronounce it.
Okay, a light moment. Move to the Business Daily. It's a story that you can get on page 4, but it's also on the front page of your Business Daily. Consumers to feel pinch of paying rice milk farmers more. Goes on to say that the cost of rice and milk in retail outlets is set to rise in the wake of President Uhuru Kenyatta's order for processors to increase raw input prices to boost farmers' earnings. Now, as we talk about this, it's an issue very dear to Dr. Halwale on this particular point. And what we're trying to say here is it's not that the farmers shouldn't get their money, but we're coming from a time where we're having a depressed economy. People don't have enough money in their pockets, so acquisition of basic needs is a problem. We've said that brokers have been vilified for quite a while, and I've had that same sentiment around here. But there's also the alternative school of thought that all brokers are doing is getting in where the system has collapsed. There's a gap. A farmer can't get his produce to the market, and if I have a couple of lorries and capital to take that produce to a market or to my granary, I shouldn't be vilified for doing something that the government cannot or has failed to make proper roads, make sure it's easier for the government or for a farmer to get his produce to the market. It's not a problem. It's a gap, and they're just filling that gap. What's your take on that?
Yes, you can't blame any Kenyan because Kenyans are every day becoming innovative to take advantage of what they think are opportunities to earn something. So even the so-called brokers, they have seen an opportunity, and to my mind, this is how it came about. I remember very vividly that in this country we had the Kenya National Trading Corporation. With the Kenya National Trading Corporation, things like fertilizer, the maize seed, and other forms of seeds, this is the corporation that was dealing with it. So when they came out, when it collapsed, when the corporation collapsed, then there was no national institution that would take care of the cost of production, so to speak. So now the farmer was left vulnerable and other players came in. If the government was sympathetic to farmers, and this is why I think the hustler nation must be left to take charge of its own destiny. If the government was caring about the hustlers, the farmers in the villages, they would not be sitting there to allow what my brother has called Shylocks in the agriculture sector in the name of brokers to actually thrive. They would make it illegal. The police would stop you and ask you, where are you transporting this cane to? These days, instead of tractors from West Kenya, from Butali Sugar, from Nzoia Sugar Company, coming to collect cane, you have trucks owned by brokers coming to buy cane. They pay farmers on the farm half of the price, then they go and transport to the factory. If the police could tell them no, the only person transporting cane must be a tractor belonging to Amila. Then you will have cut off the broker. But because the government doesn't care about the hustler nation, they don't care about the farmers, they just leave it at the mercy of those people who are actually committing economic crimes against our people. I'll hand over to
Honorable Jude. Your electorate also, your constituency has quite a number of farmers as well.
Something was getting away. Look at a beautiful thing like coffee. Right here where we are, a few kilometers from here, we have got rich red soil. that was producing very good coffee. But what have the people done? Because the government did not do anything to cushion the farmer, the people have replaced coffee with residential houses. It's stupid. The government should have been making it impossible for anybody to get clearance to build a house on any of those coffee farms.
Right. Honorable Jude.
I want to agree and disagree with Dr. Ari in what he has said. First, we are a free economy. So you cannot tell me not to transport cane, not to transport coffee, when that is my business that I am doing. I should be let free to do my own business. But the government systems must work. There is National Cereals and Produce Board. It doesn't have money to buy these produce cash. And that is where now the broker comes in. If National Cereals and Produce Board could be facilitated to have enough money when maize is being harvested, when wheat is being harvested, they'll be able to buy directly from farmers. Let them have even the transport system so that they go to the farmer and collect from there and store it. Right. If we do that, then the broker will naturally find that he has no business to do. You have not legislated, you have not set laws that nobody else should transport. But naturally that business dies. Right. This is the same that is going to happen with the cherry fund in coffee, where government has given out, I think, 3 billion shillings for this year, so that the coffee farmer can get some capital, can get some money before the payment is done for coffee. That way he'll be able to pay for his labor, he'll be able to pay for fertilizers, and he'll be able to have some money in his pocket. Right. So the same systems should be used in multiple agricultural sectors. So that if I'm doing potatoes, I will be able to sell them and get money without necessarily going through a broker. Right. So that the brokers now can go and do other business. Okay. We need to have people who are thinking of how to commercialize agriculture, because we have been just using agriculture to put food on the table. We should use agriculture to make money. It is a business like any other business.
And the consumers must therefore pay.
Yes, they should. You see, if the cost of production is cut down, yes. If we get rid of so many of these brokers who are coming in between, then the consumer will pay less, and the farmer will make more money because the cost of production is low.
In the Big Four, we had food security right in there. It was an issue to make sure the country is food secure. We have a couple of years to go to the end of this president's term. From where we stand, if you look at that basic need, because they usually say if you can't feed yourself as a country, it's very hard to do many other things. How are we faring on that as a whole?
We are not faring, because look at even what KRA started off the year with. They're looking for every single nook and corner to be able to get money out of our Wananchi who don't have money. So if you don't have money, then how do you even eat? Part of the reason there were all sorts of jokes going around that some community, which I will not name, that was not attending Nyayo in large numbers because there was no kuku and obusuma, you know, but only soda. And others saying that the only reason why many people were crowding from morning is because at least there was that mkate, you know. I mean, we are a hungry nation. People cannot afford to eat. We have had analysis in the papers right from last year of people who are saying they have cut down. Shockingly, a number of restaurants that used to supply food in the city center in Nairobi have closed because the patronage has reduced and they're not able to sustain it. So Kenyans are increasingly not doing lunch. Many people will tell you, I don't do lunch in the Kenyan language, because they have their breakfast and they have their dinner, if available. Right. So food security, and then we have this coming up, KRA taking money from you, you have nothing at all in your pocket, and then we have to pay the farmers, who of course are our family members, who would like them to earn money, so that for once, instead of M-Pesa transactions coming from the town to the rural, they'll be coming from the rural to the urban. Right. Support by farmers for their families who are struggling to make ends meet in the urban city. That would be a beautiful scenario. Right. But how? Where is the system for us to be able to see this? I like what Mheshimiwa has said, because one of the things we used to encourage young people to engage in farming was that there was that nook for them to excel in marketing this produce. So you must find a niche for every person with their ability and their interest and their skills to be able to make money. And we must put policies in place that cushion people, so that the fact that farmers are now earning money does not mean that suddenly we are all running to the village to beg from our parents and our brothers who are farming, and it's not what they used to be before.
Right. Gabriel, I'll come to you. And also, as we look at the Big Four, we're looking at it from a scenario where probably it hadn't gotten the steam it should have gotten. We had a stimulus package that was done by the president in Mombasa recently. Is that what's needed now to jumpstart that particular pillar and move it forward?
Let me tell you something about the Big Four. By the way, I believe Big Four is the only game changer that we have. And any other leader coming after President Uhuru Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta. Coming after President Uhuru. If they are to take over that legacy of the Big Four, they'll get it right. I will not stop saying that Big Four is a game changer in this country, because what it provides is the uptake of the 21st century. And so we must be so serious about this. We keep reminding, and you'll keep reminding us and the viewers of, oh, you know, the president has 2 years left in his presidency. But let me tell you, he does not need to realize the Big Four agenda in his term. What he has done, and he has succeeded in doing, is setting up the stage. He has set up the foundation, right? And the trajectory is clear. This will be a game changer. When you talk about food security, let me tell you something. It did not start with him. You may recall back, and probably Dr. here may tell you, and may go back. President Jomo Kenyatta started it when he said, "Turudi mashambani, chakula kime." And songs were made actually about those pronouncements. Back in the 70s and the 80s, when agriculture was the backbone of our economy, guess what? We were making billions worth of shillings out of agriculture. What went wrong? All right? And as we came to the 90s, things started happening. The fact that we did not have serious land policies, the fact that we did not ensure we had funds like the cherry fund that we're talking about for farmers, brokers came in because there was a lacuna. And that's why they made it a very formidable business. It became a matter of life and death. Industries, circles, societies were destroyed because you had these brokers and, you know, crazy people who understood that, you know what, I can stand in between because I have some cash. I can give this to the farmer because the government is failing. So the government just needs to go back to the policy of ensuring, the frameworks of ensuring that the farmer is taken care of. And guess what? You will see these people disappear from the face of this country. And that's all that is needed. See what the kind of, the cherry fund that we're talking about, see what it will do. It is actually going to be a game changer as well in matters of agriculture. And as we come to the fact of talking about, you know, land use, when we are talking about things like ensuring we continue having our footprint in arable, we cannot move by decreasing our agricultural land. We are actually going to be a laughing stock. Kiambu today, and he will tell you where he comes from, it's turning into a concrete jungle. People are selling their arable land by the day. And then, guess what? How much can you make from flats? How many people can you employ? If you compare vis-a-vis to the people you can employ in the farm, and once you do a flat of, you know, a building of 8 flats, you'll only need how many people to, you know, to take care of that flat? Maybe 2 caretakers. But farmland, 2 acres, you're going to employ a lot of people. And you're going to make money. It will be coming in and out. Our foreign exchange will be coming from that. So it is a shift in our mental thinking between concrete jungles and agriculture. Okay. At the end of the day, like people say, we will continue eating. Food is about sustenance. So it is something that we must start thinking and start thinking hard at. And it will only happen with what my good sister is saying, great policies.
Okay, and we'll have to wrap it up with that. Last comment, Dr.
Yeah, I want to encourage my sister not to be shy when she's referring to the Abaluya people. They're actually the ones who are complaining about the snacks and there being no ugali and meat and so on. Two very important points, but not that they can kill. The first one is that Gideon Moi told us that his father loved meat. In our culture, if you are burying your mother, for example, and she was a very good cook, you cook that same food that she used to cook so that everybody can partake of it. So our people were actually applying our culture and not that they were just playing games in the newspapers. Mr. Nathan Ambuti, 76-year-old friend of Moi, who has no income but he owns a bicycle. He rode his bicycle 223 kilometers, arrived in Kabarak, and they want to feed him on a loaf of bread with a Fanta.
You leave it at that particular point as far as the newspaper is concerned. I can come in at
We give him energy, the sugar. We need the sugar.
Thank you so much for making time this morning, Gabriel Musoma. Thank you so much, Lili Longa. Asante sana. Dr. Boni Halwale, thank you so much for making time this morning. Honorable Jude Jomo, thank you so much for making time this morning. Take a short break. We're back on the other side. You get interactive. This is K24 This Morning.